India's decision to close the Attari border in the wake of the Pahalgam terror attack is set to severely cripple trade with Pakistan and Pakistan's economy as well. Located near Amritsar in India and Wagah in Pakistan, the Attari-Wagah border served as the sole permissible trade route between India and Pakistan. The Attari-Wagah land route was first opened in 2005 and truck movement on this route began 2 years later in 2007. The integrated checkpost at Attari was inaugurated on April 13, 2012 under the then UPA government, with provisions of facilities for fast and cost-effective land trade. Now, what we're seeing right now, this trade hiatus, isn't the first between the two neighbors. Even post the 1965 war, the 1971 war, the bilateral trade faced a huge setback. Borders were shut, were heavily fortified and militarized. Trade relations nosedived also in 2019 following the Pulwama terror attack. Post-Pulwama, India imposed a 200% duty on Pakistani goods and stripped its neighbor of the most favored nation status. India had granted the most favored nation or MFN status to Pakistan way back in 1996, but the neighboring country had not reciprocated. Under the MFN Pact, a WTO member country is obliged to treat the other trading nation in a non-discriminatory manner, especially with regard to customs duty and other levies. In 2012, Pakistan had committed to giving the most favored nation status to India, but retracted later due to domestic opposition. Now let's talk about the numbers, about trade between India and Pakistan over the years. According to official data, India exported items such as soybean, poultry feed, vegetables, red chilies, plastic granules, plastic yarn, and then they've imported goods like dry fruits, dates, gypsum, cement, glass, rock salt and herbs from Pakistan via the land port at Attari. India is clearly less dependent on Pakistan, with exports far exceeding imports. India's exports to Pakistan from April 2024 to January 2025, just for that period, stood at $447 million, while imports were a meager $0.42 million. So just see that difference. The exports and imports between 2023 to 24 were $1.18 billion and $2.88 million, respectively. Again, huge difference in the exports and imports. If you go back in time, we talk about 2022 to 2023, India exported goods worth $627 million. Between 2021 and 2022, that amount was lesser. It was $514 million. And you compare that to imported products. Remember the figure of $627 million of exports. Imports was against that at $20 million. And then $2.5 million was the figure of imported goods between 2021 to 2022. Total cargo movement also dropped from 49,102 consignments in 2018 to 2019 to just 3,827 in 2022 to 2023. So in the last few years, you're also seeing trade taking a big hit. This hasn't helped Pakistan. The aid-dependent Pakistani economy is facing recurring bouts of high inflation as well as widespread social unrest. Pakistan experienced a crazy economic crisis as part of the 2022 political unrest, where inflation skyrocketed to 38% as of May 2023, causing severe economic challenges for months. Food, gas, oil prices, all the essentials prices skyrocketed. Cessation of trade with India is set to only worsen Pakistan's economic woes, so it doesn't spell good news for them. The IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund, has revised Pakistan's growth forecast downwards as expected to just 2.6%. They've cited the impact of US tariffs and have also warned that increasing global trade tensions would further hamper growth for Pakistan. Now, while direct trade between India and Pakistan via the Attari has been minuscule post the Pulwama attack in 2019, Afghan goods were still entering India via this route. Around 40 to 45 Afghan trucks carrying dry fruits, apples, other goods were reaching Attari daily. This movement has now ceased after Pakistan has denied passage to Afghan trucks. It's important to note that only Afghan imports were allowed through this route. Indian exports to Afghanistan were never permitted through Attari. Indian exports were already taking alternate routes. We're talking about sea and land routes using the Iranian seaport of Chabahar. Now, in 2024 to 2025, India's exports to Afghanistan was $264 million, while imports much higher at $591 million. So again, a very similar trend as India-Pakistan. The shutdown of the Attari-Wagah route for Afghan imports has led to a complete pause in goods movement via this land corridor, though governments are actively working on a solution. The biggest problem, however, remains for Pakistan.